Every year, the world celebrates and commemorates the changing from one year to the next. Here in America, we fixate our gaze on the iconic geodesic sphere adorned with 2,688 Waterford crystal triangles that glimmer on their minute-long descent, moving at more than 1 foot per second as they're suspended 470 feet above street level in Times Square. Millions around the country count in unison to 3, 2, 1 as the confetti cannons fire and joyous celebration ensues. Old Lang Syne blasts over the loudspeakers. A new year has officially started. And for many, a new year marks a new beginning. Often though, New Year's are met with varying emotions. For some, it's a relief that the previous year is behind them. Maybe you're closing the chapter on one of the most challenging seasons in your life. For others, reflecting on the past 52 weeks may bring great joy and fond memories. You may be celebrating some of the biggest achievements and milestones you've ever encountered. But for everyone, a new year marks anticipation. Anticipation is simply being expectant on what lies ahead. For some, that means hoping and expecting for the best. You look forward with great eagerness and anticipation. Maybe joyous moments are on the horizon, like welcoming a new baby into the world or starting a new relationship. You could be eagerly awaiting your dream vacation or finally entering retirement. For others, a new year may produce anxious anticipation and worry as there may be uncertainty with what the future holds. You may be worried about a relationship or maybe lack thereof. Maybe you're worried about the state of your health or the condition of a loved one. Maybe there's an anticipation about what your economic future holds, whether your income will remain the same or your retirement portfolio can withstand an ever-evolving political climate. But here we are in January. We have closed one chapter and we are anticipating the next. William Wordsworth, a 19th century English romantic poet, once said, "Life is divided into 3 terms, that which was, which is, and which will be. Let us learn from the past to profit by the present, and from the present to live better for the future." Let that soak in. Most of us define life in a similar time sequence, that which was, which is, and which will be, or more simply put, the past, present, and the future. What if we were to take Wordsworth's outlook on this chronological continuum to heart? What if we learned from the past to profit by the present so that we could, in turn, have a better future? It's worth thinking about as we embark on a new year and a new chapter. So where did this idea of a new year even come from? Well, interestingly enough, nearly 3,000 years ago in 713 BC, January was added to the ancient Roman calendar. Almost 7 centuries later, in 45 BC, Julius Caesar solidified January 1st as the official first day of the first month of a new year. The naming of the month, though, was retained in the later Georgian calendar, which is the calendar system that we use today. What's fascinating, though, is we say the name of the month January so flippantly, but few of us know its meaning. January stems from the name Janus. Janus, in ancient Greek mythology, was the god of doors and gates. Most distinct about this mythological god was his portrayal as a figure with 2 distinct faces. No, this wasn't to insinuate that he was insincere as the modern colloquialism two-faced alludes to. Instead, Janus had 2 faces opposite one another, one to look forward to the future and one facing backwards to see the past. At all times, Janus would be fully looking forward and fully looking backward. He was said to be the god of transitions. Thousands of years later, our Roman-inspired calendar still heralds the name January. You see, January is a time for us to look forward to what is to come, but it is also important for us to remember where we've been. It reminds me of driving down a highway. Picture yourself in the driver's seat. You're cruising, looking out the windshield at the expansive view ahead of you, when all of a sudden you hear a thunderous roar of a loud motor gaining behind you. You glance in your rearview mirror to give you context and perspective. You're looking behind you. While I hope the roar of an engine is not a reflection of your past following you, there is something profound to ponder. Here's the thing. The average car windshield is about 14.6 square feet. The average rearview mirror is approximately 0.2 square feet. Even though the rearview mirror only takes up about 1.3% of the entirety of your forward viewing area, it is prominently placed as it is an essential safety feature for you as you move forward. In perspective to the forward views you have, the rearview mirror is minuscule, and yet its prominence is so important. Listen, we need to reflect, but not ruminate. Reflecting is what a mirror does. Reflecting, like looking in a rearview mirror, allows us to understand our past. It gives us context and perspective, helping us to navigate the present and future more effectively. It's a quick, essential glance that informs our next moves. On the other hand, ruminating is like trying to drive while constantly staring into your rearview mirror. It's not only impractical, but totally dangerous. It keeps us fixating on what's behind us, preventing us from seeing the opportunities and challenges that lie on the road ahead. Ruminating on the past isn't reserved for dwelling only on the bad either. While some people get stuck as they wallow in defeat after an exceptionally hard season, others can be stuck staring at the positive experiences in the past too. Ruminating instead of reflecting on the positive experiences can be equally as detrimental and limiting. Think about the high school quarterback who led his team to win the state championship. If he is stuck basking in his past victories, he may miss out on opportunities to excel in other areas of his life if he's too focused on reliving his former glory. Life is an ever-evolving journey, and resting on past laurels can hinder personal growth and the discovery of new passions and skills. So how do we ensure we're reflecting in a healthy way without falling into the trap of rumination? Here are a few key steps. First, set a time limit for reflection. The mirror is always going to be there, so we need to reflect responsibly. Think about first starting to drive. You white knuckle the steering wheel terrified of everything around you, but you don't even bother to look at any of your mirrors. Then as you become a more seasoned driver, you pay healthy glances to each of your mirrors around so that you're always aware of what's surrounding you. I'm sure at some point in your driving career, you may have glanced up and there reflecting in your rearview mirror was an image of someone doing something ridiculous. I can think of seeing everything from people having a full-out dance session in the car behind me to couples clearly not having a kind conversation to a guy using dry erase markers to take notes on his windows. Yes, that's a true story. But in each of these moments, we stare just a minute longer. If you stare too long, you miss what is going on right in front of you. When trying to move forward into a new chapter in a healthy way, don't ignore the past, but don't stare at it too long either, lest you miss what is happening right in front of you. The second strategy we can put into place is to focus on forward movement. When you reflect, aim to extract lessons or insights from your past experiences. Ask yourself, what did this experience teach me, rather than dwelling on what went wrong or what could have been. It's easy to start running down a list of what ifs and scenarios of what could have happened or what could have been done differently. But there is little value in that. It's behind you. One time I had just landed at my home airport after speaking at an event. I actually left the event early to miss a snowstorm that was headed our way. Well, by the time I landed at RDU, the ground was already covered in snow. Now, growing up in Chicago, we would have called this a light dusting. But now living in North Carolina, due to the lack of infrastructure to clear the roads effectively, North Carolinians would have called this a blizzard. So somewhere between a dusting and a blizzard, I get in my car from the airport and I start heading west down I-40. There are virtually no cars on the road and a few semi-trucks trudging along. As I'm driving, I glance in my rearview mirror and I see a Jeep barreling down the road. The Jeep is intentionally driving in the unplowed lanes and swerving in the snow. I began to make my way over all the way to the right lane as I know this Jeep is about 30 seconds from passing me and was clearly not acting the smartest for the current conditions. All of a sudden, the Jeep pulls out in front of one of these semi-trucks, swerving out of control. The semi-truck tries to avoid the Jeep, jackknifing sideways and blocks the traffic. A sedan immediately plows into the side of the tractor-trailer that is now perpendicular, blocking the entire highway. The accident, all in all, involved 4 or 5 vehicles. I watched all of this unfold from my rearview mirror. Immediately, my mind was racing. What if my flight had been 30 seconds later? Or what if my bag came off the belt just 30 seconds later? The what-ifs took over. Instead of being grateful I missed this catastrophic accident by mere seconds, I started to run through the unhelpful questioning of what-ifs. The past was quite literally behind me. There was nothing I could do to change what had occurred in my rearview mirror. All I could do was think about what I was going to do next. I could call for help, turn around, do nothing, drive slower, and so on. We need to focus on forward movement. After all, 98.7% of our windshield is unobstructed, opening a clear line of sight for the road that lies ahead of us. The third thought to help us avoid ruminating in the past is to simply have community. So often I talk about the importance and value of community. Surround yourself with others that can offer constructive feedback. Have mentors that can point out potential obstacles and peers that can pick you up when you fall down. Sometimes having someone in that passenger seat is one of the greatest safety features you can have in a car. It is another person to balance out your perspective and to be alert with you as you move forward. Remember, the rearview mirror in our life serves as an important purpose, but it's the road ahead that holds our journey. Let's use our reflections as a tool for growth and empowerment, not as a weight that holds us back. The windshield analogy, in a way, is not too far off from the symbolism represented in the mythical god Janus. They both reference the idea of looking forward, but also being able to look back in a healthy way. This dual perspective, looking back while moving forward, is not just a symbolic ritual of transition, it is a vital practice that needs to be in place in our lives. The past, with its victories and setbacks, lessons learned, and wisdom gained, form foundations upon which we should build our future. Reflecting on the past year, we acknowledge our achievements, the challenges we overcame, and the growth we experienced. These reflections aren't merely exercises in nostalgia. They are signposts that guide our journey ahead. They remind us of our resilience and our capacity to adapt and our potential for growth. Happy New Year.